Hi, this is Mitch Fulfer with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Real Estate. And my guest today is Kevin Hernandez with the law offices of Kevin Hernandez. First and foremost, we want to say our condolences and our prayers to all the victims and families of this last week's tragedy. With that, we'd like to move on to another topic. I've asked Kevin to talk today about the latest identity theft breach with Equifax. So, Kevin Hernandez, take it away.
Well, thank you, Mitch, and I agree. It's a heartbreaking event that took place. I'm a Las Vegas native, and my sympathies go out to all the families. As far as what we're talking about today, the Equifax data breach, another big issue that's happening and in the news. A lot of people out there are worried. They're worried about whether their identity's been stolen, about what to do. So I wanted to go through some quick tips with you to discuss what people can do to protect themselves in this time. First step, and this is whenever I sit down with a client, is we want to pull your credit report. That's first and foremost, because that's going to give us an idea as to what's been breached, what accounts have been opened, what inquiries have been put on someone's credit report, and that will let us know, has this person's information been compromised, or are they just part of the 145 million now who have been potentially compromised? And that's the numbers we're looking at. They just released new numbers that said 2.5 million more people were added to the rolls. Well, what that means is doesn't necessarily mean you've had your credit actually used. It just means you may be potentially compromised. So again, first step is looking at that person's credit report and then going through each of the national credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, and seeing is there information on there that does not belong there. And what I discuss a lot with clients is don't just look at the accounts. We want to look at names, addresses, dates of birth, and inquiries especially. A hard credit inquiry is where someone applies for credit and that can either be a credit card or a mortgage or a vehicle. And that will go on your credit and it will say the date and it drops your score about 5 points and it stays on there for 2 years. That will let us know if someone's applying. So what do you do next? You pulled your report. Now the next step is, and you've identified something wrong, the next step is to put a credit freeze or a credit fraud alert on your credit.
Is this a point in time they should call you, or?
Absolutely. If anyone is worried about their credit and has something on their report, I would love to sit down with them because, the faster you take action on something like this, the easier it is to fix. If you let it sit for a long time, like anything else, it's going to be tougher to unwind all the damage that's been done. So, if there's any fraudulent information on there, we want at least a credit fraud alert. Fraud alert is a statement that's put on all three bureaus that says I'm a victim of identity theft, and then the bureaus have to take extra steps before issuing credit, like contacting you, giving you a PIN number. There's a lot of extra layers that can go on to that. Credit freeze is a much more extreme option, and that's where you actually freeze out your credit completely. And it will still work for existing lenders, but no new lenders can access your credit. If you're looking to open loans and things like that in the near future, I wouldn't suggest it. I would suggest doing a fraud alert, which is a little bit lower of a level. The next step that people need to do is get a police report. A lot of people forget to do that. And if you're a victim of identity theft, it's a crime. And we want to see if we can track that person down, but also we want to use that credit report, that police report to notify the bureaus that something has gone wrong and that there's been a crime that's been committed. And it's necessary to getting those items cleared off the report. And then finally, you want to get an FTC affidavit, which is a report that just goes through every single item that's on your credit that's incorrect, that's fraudulent, and it's submitted to the bureaus along with your police report. Under the law, if all of that is done and submitted to the bureaus, they have 4 days, business days, from when they receive it to block all fraudulent information, and 30 days to give you a new credit report with all the information cleared off. So it's a very quick turnaround. But it's important that all of that is included in that certified letter to the bureaus, because then you can prove that they got it and that all the items have been checked off the list. And then finally, you get those new reports back. If anything is still on there, that's when my office will file a lawsuit on your behalf and go after the credit bureaus and the lenders for continuing to report fraudulent information. It happens more often than people realize, and I have a majority of my practice bringing those claims. So those are the steps I would say for people who are worried about the Equifax data breach. It's affected millions of people, and certainly those are the things you want to look at to protect yourself and to make sure you're not a victim.
Great. And Kevin, how much do you charge?
That's the greatest part about this is my services are free of charge. Under the law, under the federal under the Federal Fair Credit Reporting Act, attorney's fees and costs are part of the damages that you get reimbursed for. Therefore, those damages are paid through a settlement or judgment. So the client does not have to come out of pocket for my services, which is a great thing for them, because a lot of people can't afford an attorney, and this allows them to have representation without having to come out of pocket.
How's the best way for them to get in touch with you, Kevin?
Thank you. The best way to get in touch with me is my phone number, 702-563-4450. And if you want to reach out through email, it's kevin@kevinhernandezlaw.com. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and happy to take new consultations either on the phone or in person, and discuss these issues and make sure that the Las Vegas community is kept safe from identity theft, because it's such a big concern nowadays. And so we're happy to do that.
Great. Kevin, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mitch.
2-minute tidbit. Thank you much.